Jim Norton is not a doctor. He's not an expert. He's not even a good person. The views, opinions, advice, and humor of Jim Norton does not reflect those of any doctor, of SiriusXM, of Opie Radio, or anyone else. They are solely those of Jim Norton, Lyle Chipperson, Edgar Mellencamp, Paul Hargis, and whoever else lives in that chinless head of his. If any of this advice goes wrong, you are the asshole who called a comedian instead of a doctor.
An icon in comedy, a fighter for freedoms, an accomplished entertainer, and a pervert. You've got problems, he's got problems. You've got questions, he's got answers, some of which are good. Call now, 866-WOW-1-WOW. That's 866-969-1969. This is the Jim Norton Show.
D. People like when I sing in the beginning of the episode, I tell myself. Whew. I hope you guys are well. I'm pretty good. Had a good week tomorrow. A good week so far, sorry. We have one more show tomorrow. And then we see what happens. I guess, it's funny. I was looking on the Daily Mail before somebody directed me to it. And now there's allegations with Anthony Weiner that he was in online chats with a 15-year-old girl. I don't think he fucked any of these women. And he wouldn't show himself naked, but he was like shirtless and topless or whatever in his underwear. This is a guy who's really stinks at, what's the word when you plausible deniability. He thinks that he is really brilliant with plausible deniability. Who's to say? We all are. Why can't a guy with no shirt talk? We all know what you're doing. He seems to misunderstand what plausible deniability is. Now they're saying that he was talking to a 15-year-old girl, and it's like, that's what sex addiction is. Like, what a dumb motherfucker. You know they're looking for you. You're married. You have a kid. You've ruined your political campaign. From what I hear about this guy, he may have been mayor. People loved Anthony Weiner, who were like liberal and Democrat, and he was their guy. Apparently he was a great politician. He fought for what he believed in. He blew it. And then he blew it again. People were willing to give him another chance. He fucked up again. And he just can't stop fucking up. He's a very selfish guy. His wife stood by him through all that. He's now, she's working for Hillary Clinton, whether you like Hillary or not. Again, she may be the president, and whom is her top aide. And he can't stop talking fucking dirty. Like, I'm a piece of shit, and I wouldn't carry on with a 15-year-old girl online. You just don't do it. I don't even know how it turns you on. Some fucking goofy 15-year-old. Jesus, but then again, I'm a cuckold, so I like somebody who at least knows what that is. Mid-20s, the earliest. But anyway, he's a great example of sex addiction. The guy if this news group is true, but he admitted to flirting with her. How are you doing that under your own name? What a fucking dunce. Nick in New Jersey. Hi, Nick. These are the new phone systems. It may take a second. Is Nick there, or did he die? Hi, buddy. Yes, I can.
Hey, Jimmy. How's it going today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
All right. What I wanted to talk to you about is that I think that I might be dealing with an addiction to social media and politics, and I'll explain it. Basically, I think that there was a time remember when you guys had Paul Fegan on the show?
The Ghostbusters director.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I remember being enraged, and I tweeted, both you and Ope, you guys are a bunch of social justice warriors. And at that moment, I took a step back and I said, wait a minute, I'm becoming really radical with this stuff. I think that number one, I think that I'm seeing things that aren't there, like people that have, radical political views that don't really have radical political views.
Let me step in and ask you a question, just to kind of work, like to kind of keep up with you. What did you think we were being social justice warriors about? Not now, but in that moment, what did you think? And in what sense? Because it's funny, I've never ever would even remotely consider myself that.
Yeah, and I don't either. In that moment, what was bothering me was I had been looking up, basically reading articles, reading tweets, Reddit, everything about all the hoopla that went on with the Ghostbusters movie, sure. And how it kind of they kind of like made their flagship way of promoting the movie to be, like women's rights, when it was supposed to be just a kind of a funny comedy. And I think that I just let that get to me too much. And you guys, trying.
Go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry.
You guys are just trying to, have a good interview with the movie director, and I saw politics where there were none.
In all honesty, and I look, dude, I'm pretty truthful about my life. I mean, my dysfunctions, the things I'm good at. And there was zero politics in that for me. But I did, it's funny. People did point out to me. Like, at first I was like, how could anybody give a fuck? Because, I like Leslie. And it is different when you know people. You just see them as people, so you look at it differently. Not that I think my view is right and there's people who hated her is wrong. But you just naturally take a different look at it when you know the person. But then people are like, yeah, but how mad were you at Steve Martin for doing the Pink Panther? I'm like, yeah, it's true. That's actually a good point. I really was. So then I kind of got how people could have been so offended at Ghostbusters being remade. It made sense to me, I've tried later in life to not be so married to a point that I'm obsessed with being right. I'm not saying I'm never like that, but people are like, you straddle the fence. But hey, look, other times I get good information, and I'm a dumb cunt if I don't acknowledge that it's good information. And I will say in my own defense, the difference between, I wrote in my book, I bashed Steve Martin, but people going directly to Leslie and like in real anger, I thought, calling her a nigger and putting up, it's like, Jesus, dude, like, she's a nice person. But maybe it's just different when you know somebody. I don't know. But there was zero political things with that, dude. I'm not about feminism. And what do you think? Feminism likes what I do? Do you think feminism approves of Jim Norton's fucking career? I debated a woman about rape jokes. Like, I'm certainly not a feminist in the sense of annoying feminists.
And the thing about Leslie is that I don't fault her at all. I think that she walked into basically a lion's den. I don't think she was aware of the political climate, and she just got trampled on, and that wasn't fair at all. But basically, for me, what I was trying to get at for me is that I feel like I walk around like with this anger in me, and I have this compulsion to go online and read this stuff that doesn't really enrich my life. But when I tell myself to stop, I can't. It's like I'm entertained by it for some reason, and I crave it. Sure.
It's, it's funny, dude. Negativity and anger's a weird drug. And it's much easier to see how anger... Like, I had something yesterday. I've been trying so hard not to do it as much. It's very hard. But once you start focusing on it and going like, this is it's a chemical reaction in my body. Like, when I feel myself, you feel yourself getting mad, and then it starts to build, and there's something comfortable about it. And then you spiral into this place of rage where everything around you makes you angry, and you feel like you finally see it clearly. But that's not clarity. That's just the false effect of this fucking being high off anger. It's so damaging, and then you feel hungover from it and shitty from it. It's never a good thing for me, and I doubt for you either. But I really relate to just fucking wanting to, it's like seeking it out. And I'm like, why would you seek something out that's so bad? But I do get it, man. It's this weird satisfaction. It's a dopamine drip, not even in a good way. But it's like, look at all these violent videos I've watched, or beheadings. What do I get out of seeing that? It's the same thing you get out of seeking negativity or unpleasantness. It's just this weird, satisfaction, or this weird feeling of, okay, I got a little something. I don't know what the exact, chemical effect it has is, but I certainly understand what you mean. And when I don't seek it out, like, there's sites that I haven't gone to in months and months and months. And it's like, I don't miss them or feel, I haven't been watching beheading videos. Like, I'll watch other stuff, but a beheading video I just cannot get through anymore. And I feel better that I'm not watching that stuff. So just don't do it. And when you get the urge to do it, man, maybe realize this is just an unhealthy thing that I'm feeding.
Yeah, definitely. And it's affecting the way the anger doesn't go away when I turn off the computer. It starts to bleed into my real life and the way I'm treating people. So.
Well, we start to see things that aren't there because the motive of looking at this stuff is to get that feeling. I'm not looking for information. I'm looking for something to give me that fucking shitty feeling. It's almost like whenever a tragedy happens and people just, again, whether it's guns or whether it's a cop shot, like the cops, they say they shot an unarmed black man. I immediately know how some people are going to stand no matter what evidence comes out. And to me, if you're that much on one side of any particular issue, you're seeking things out that back up your side and make you feel a certain way, and it's fucking a bad way to think. I got to run, buddy. I get a lot of calls, but I appreciate it, Nick. And the best advice I can give is not to do it, is to seek it out. But I know it's really hard.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, good luck, man. Let's see here. Bill in Florida. Hey, Bill.
Yo, what's going on, Jimmy? How you doing, man?
I'm very well. How are you? I actually feel great.
Yo, it's a pleasure to talk with you on the phone, and I wanted your insight on this, and I'm sure you know you're very well versed. As like both of us, we both had some dramatic changes in our body from our own choosing. Quit the shit that you're putting in your body, working out, the whole nine.
Sure.
So within the past probably about 9 months, I've lost probably about a total of almost 70 pounds.
Oh, awesome, dude.
Thanks, pal. But nonetheless, like, I'm starting to develop body dysmorphia. Some type of things is I'm in the gym maybe about more days than not throughout the week, so maybe about 4 or 5 days, depending how I'm feeling. But I'm to a point where I'm not seeing changes in me, and or I don't know, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to think of you would know. So I don't know. Am I making sense, or am I just rambling like an asshole?
No, dude, the body, if I put on 3 pounds, I look at my stomach and I'm like, oh, you fat pig, because I'm so afraid of going back there. And just because I changed the physical, the mental problems or the mental thoughts, they take a while. I'm still the same person mentally. So I have to realize, man, you look physically much better. You're healthier. You don't run out of breath as fast. Your heart's in better shape than it was. Your cardio's a little better. But it doesn't matter. I still have that low self-esteem and that body hatred. And there's days where I know I look good, as far as compared to what I used to look. I'm not delusional. I think I'm fucking Brad Pitt. But I'm hey, man, I look at myself in the mirror. I'm you don't have that giant fat roll you used to have where you're disgusted. You're not humiliated to be without a shirt. And I feel I look good when I'm like that. I'm never going to be amazing. I'm just kind of fuckable at some points. You know what I mean? You have to realize realistically where you are. And there's people that get body dysmorphia in the other way. They think they're so much better looking than they are. They think they're so much smarter than they really are. You just got to kind of be balanced about it and go, some days I eat really well and I look pretty good, and other days, hey, I put a few on, so just stop the bleeding and stop being a dick.
No, I hear you, Jim. And moreover, you are a sexy motherfucker. You know that?
Well, yeah. I don't disagree. I appreciate that. A lot of people would agree with you. A lot of people say my smile is the sexiest part. It's my knowledge. That's up for interpretation, what makes me sexy. But thank you so much.
I hear that, Jim. Yo, man, you have a good evening. It's nice bullshit. All
right, man. Thank you so much. All right. And let's see here. Kevin in PA. Hey, Kevin.
Hello, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I want to try to set my question up so it's fair to you. But real quick, I hope things work out for you in the station. I hope everything works out fairly for everyone. I love your show, and you're so honest and authentic is the best way I can put it.
I try to be. I try to be.
No, I mean, I think a lot of people relate to you, and it's good. It's good. I listen to your show. Usually on the way to work, the repeat Friday morning. But anyway, well, here's a little bit of background for why I'm asking my question. I know you get a lot of comedy questions on here. I hear them a lot. I know you get a lot of questions about people going into comedy. But it's like this. I'm 44 years old. I'm college educated. I work. Been told a lot by people that I know, my friends and everyone, coworkers. You should try comedy. And I'm getting so sick of not having the balls to do it. And if I don't do this, I'm going to be a miserable fuck for the rest of my life.
Okay.
So that having been said, and I'd like to, maybe I'll try to email you too with some more depth if you have time to see
let me ask you a quick question before you go on. What is it you're truly afraid of?
Actually, at this point, I'm not afraid anymore. To be honest,
have you fantasized about being a comedian for a long time?
Since I was a kid.
Right. So I've often theorized that when we don't do things, now again, you're married or whatever it is, you got a life, you're busy, so that life gets in the way. But I've often theorized that what people become truly afraid of is not the failure or bombing. It is losing that little daydream that you have, like where you still fantasize about being a comedian and seeing yourself as special or as something outside of what you're doing at this moment. That little place you can go to that's kind of secret or that kind of makes you feel better or gives you a little relief from daily life. And I think a lot of times people are scared that if we try something, we lose that. If we fail at it, we then have to take that little fantasy thing off the table because it's been tainted or it's been ruined. And is that maybe, am I wrong? I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, no, personally speaking, for me, I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, if I don't try this, if I really don't give this, I know it's a tough gig and everything. I don't know what I'm getting into, but I have a general idea of what I'm getting into. But if I don't do this, I am going to be so miserable for the rest of my life. I have a wife. We don't have any children. Okay. My wife's behind me. God bless her. The great thing about my wife is she doesn't give a shit. The bad thing about my wife is she doesn't give a shit. She's a great person. But,
I know what you mean.
She's behind me, and it's just, if I don't do this, it's just eating away at me. And,
then you need to try it.
So, that having been said, we live in Western PA. I did meet you, by the way, Carnegie Library Music Hall, February 2014. You were kind enough to let us meet and greet. And I have a picture with you. Everybody says with my beard, I look like Franco Harris, and I don't like that because he had a frighteningly hairy back.
Yes,
but anyway, my general question is, without putting you in an awkward position, where would you, you tour the country a lot, you see a lot of places, and maybe it's dawned on you recently even, or along the line that, if you were starting out in comedy, you might think to yourself, well, there's the place to be. There's a place where the action is.
Well, so for me, are you saying where to do it?
Yes, where do I need to be, to be near it, to be in it, to be close to it?
Where you need to be is anywhere that does an open mic night. And there are websites now, which there weren't when I first started, where you can check and find out where a new talent night is. You'll write down material. You'll probably have to bring some friends so they let you on stage. It's part of the reason the club does those nights, so they can make some money from the people that you bring. But then again, your advantage is you get on stage. I don't know where. For me, New Jersey, I was very fortunate. There's a lot of comedians, and the comedians treated me really well. But New York was always the goal, because New York, again, was 45 minutes from me. So I always knew New York, that to me was real comedy. But if you grow up in San Diego, California, making it to LA is the real deal. If you grew up in Doylestown, PA, maybe Philly is where you'll eventually want to get to. So it all depends on where you are. Whatever, I'd say the biggest city, if you're in Pittsburgh, there's got to be some comedy. There's a new comedy club there. My buddy David Kay is opening up a comedy club in that area. There's an improv there. So you ought to find out if they have any kind of new talent nights and what you need to do. Try the Pittsburgh Improv. I don't know if David's place is open yet. The Pittsburgh Improv is a great club, and maybe they have a new talent night. Give them a call and see. But wherever you can get on stage, I would say there's no good place to do it. I would just say whatever's easier and convenient where you can go to. All right.
Okay. All right. I have a sister in L.A., and I'm thinking about maybe going that way. But L.A.
is very competitive. I would start where you are. Just start where you are and get a few sets under your belt, man. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to go out to L.A. and be seen for the first time. Your very first time on stage.
I got you.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen. Again, God bless you. I thank you for doing what you do, and I hope everything works out. And I appreciate you taking my call, Jim.
Thanks so much, buddy.
All right, take care.
Good luck, Kevin. Good luck, man. Justin in New York. Hi, Justin.
Hey, how you doing, bud?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. What is your plan come October? Are you possibly going to move over to the Anthony Cumia show?
I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen in October, but I've talked about this publicly. The disadvantage, and I love Anthony, the disadvantage to going to his platform is it's a closed platform. The advantage to being at Sirius is that there is, 20 million subscribers. And I don't just do radio. I mean, there's stand-up and there's other stuff as well. So there's huge advantages for me to be at Sirius. So, I don't see myself going over to Anthony's platform. And it's just basically because it's a closed platform. That was always my sticking point with that, was seeing that it's very hard for you to grow that audience unless people know who you are and pay for the service. But but we'll see what happens at Sirius. Some people may be happy, some people may be very unhappy. But, you
You're
know...
going to get your own show over there?
I'm not sure what's going to happen. You have to realize, too, it's almost like when certain things happen in companies, you're allowed to say certain things, and there's certain things you're not allowed to say.
Right. Gotcha.
But some people will be very happy, and some people won't be. And I'm not trying to be vague with you.
Everyone will be happy.
What's that? I didn't hear what you said.
So once you get rid of Opie, everyone will be happy.
Well, you know, I mean, I know a lot of people have had a hard time with Opie, and a lot of people, I mean, you know, people who used to be fans of mine, you know, think terrible things about me now. Like all of a sudden I'm a thief, and, you know, so they're not thrilled with me either, and they're not going to start liking me. So, you know, I don't know if they'll be any unhappier with Opie than they are with me. And I'm not trying to be vague. I literally am not, dude. I believe me, you know, I've always been one who likes to give out information. You know, nobody's ever caught me and gotten information. I usually spit out information about my private life and myself. But there's times where you just can't, but, you know, things will be apparent soon. You know, but I love Ant a lot. I've talked to Ant already. You know, I saw Ant. You know, he's somebody I want to interact with a lot more. And he invited me on his show this week, but I had press to do. And I also, because I'm doing gigs and I'm shooting a special. And the UFC podcast makes it a little hard, too, sometimes. But I don't know exactly what is going to happen in October at Sirius. But some people will be happy.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Okay, and I'm sorry I couldn't give you a better answer. If you call back next week, perhaps you'll get a better answer.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Justin, take care.
Take care.
Let's see here. Biff in Maine. Hi, Biff.
How's it going, Jim?
I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad. The reason I'm calling you is I was hoping you might have some advice on meeting women.
Okay.
I rarely ever seeing you around. And when I do, I feel a bit awkward about approaching them. And judging by the response their face makes, I think I'm judging that quite correct. I probably shouldn't approach them, but...
How are you
do you have
approaching
advice
them?
about it?
Well, how are you
usually
approaching them?
I usually don't. I kind of look over, and I walk in their direction, and then their eyes bug out of their head, and I kind of like scoot like I was going to do something else or whatever.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where, why don't you try going on, for you, the initial approach, for me, and by the way, for anyone listening, if you want to call in, 866-969-1969, you can comment on anything, you can ask me anything. Again, what I can answer, I will answer, and anytime I'm vague, it's not because I don't want to talk to you about it, believe me. You know, so maybe Tinder, or those dating apps, dude, we didn't have them years ago, but they're pretty good, and they really are. They give you a chance to show a little of your personality. Like, you can text with the person, you can open the lines of communication, and it's not as fucking horrible. You know, hey, we talk about a few things, and then when you meet for coffee the first time, you both, you know, can know that you're... you know, you have a little history. You've spoken before. You've talked about a couple of things, so it might be a little bit easier for you. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I'm usually just afraid to pay any money for that kind of shit. Honestly.
Well, there's no money for Tinder.
No.
No.
I haven't even been on there.
What's that?
I haven't even been on there yet. I've been on.
Why not? It's free.
Plenty of Fish. I didn't know that. I'm an idiot. I went on
Tinder's free.
Plenty of Fish for a little bit, but I didn't have any luck on there. The women seem really superficial and pretty mean.
Well, they may say the same about the guys. Hey, we're just trying to get laid. You know, I wouldn't worry about that, buddy. Just give it a shot. Don't prejudge them as maybe they're going to be superficial or mean, because you're looking for a nice girl. They're the same women that are out there walking around. There's an app called Happen, Happn. There's an app called Bumble, Bumble. There's Tinder, there's Cuddler, there's a fucking shitload of them, and they're free. And you can pay a little bit to send charms to women or whatever, or upgrade to a better version of the service, but there are free ones, okay?
Alrighty. I'll try it out.
Give it a shot, you little sweetie. Have fun.
Thanks very much, Sexy.
All right, goodbye. Let's see here. John in New York, hi.
Hey, Jimmy, how's it going?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. I had heard you talk in the past about how you used to read Craigslist, the casual encounters, and I feel like I have the same thing. It feels like it's almost like an addiction.
Sure.
And I was wondering if you still do that, or if you tried to get yourself off it, or how you handled it.
You know, I do still look at it, but not nearly as much as I used to, and it's for much less, for like a shorter period of time than it used to be. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where...
Hours on it.
No, dude, I understand. I've been there. But there's times where I'll get a lot of work done, and I'll have the computer open. I'm like, why am I even looking at this back page? I'm not even interested. It's like, you know, I talked to the other guy about that dopamine drip, and Paul Williams is the first one that actually said that to me when he was in studio, where you get this fucking thing, like you ever open your phone and you got a Facebook message, a Tinder, blah, 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 and you're like, oh, all these new things, new contacts, new information. It's just a new toy. It's like a new thing. So we tend to look at it. And that's how it is with Craigslist or Backpage. It's like, oh, who's going to be on? What am I going to see? We're exploring the world. All this, much, much easier now from our own homes. So I understand the addiction too, but just try to do it as much. It's hard.
Yeah. It's just when you find yourself like hitting the refresh page and you're just blowing time and stuff like that, it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, and there's really very little to be gained from it, but we do it. You know, we definitely do it. So you just try to do it less, man, or look at other stuff. You know, look at other stuff, because, the internet, man, it's really hard to be on the internet and be a good boy. And I mentioned Anthony Weiner at the top of the show. Look at what this guy, look at the penalty he has suffered, and he still cannot stop.
Yeah, and is that kind of your advice for sexual addiction as a whole, or is there anything else you did to kind of help with it?
What do you mean?
Did you go to, like, meetings for it, or did you, like, what other types of things did you do to kind of help with your sexual addiction that you've talked about before?
I've gone to 12-step meetings. The sexual addiction I've done the least amount for. Because sexual addiction is so much different than the other ones, in that it's not like where you drink or you drug or you smoke or you fucking do any of this other shit where you can just put it down and stop it. It's really hard to be abstinent from sexual addiction, because like all of a sudden a text will pop up. And like, you know what I mean? Can I say hello without being dirty? Like, it's all these little ambiguous interactions. Hey, am I intriguing or am I being genuine right now? What's the line between being genuine and sexually chatting? Am I lying to myself? You know, it's not as black or white. So for sex addiction, a lot of times they have bottom lines. Like, yeah, you can still jerk off, but you don't watch porn. And again, your own bottom line is your own choice. Or like, yeah, you can still have anal sex, but only with a girlfriend of 6 months or more. You know, it's much different than like drinking or other shit where it's just black or white, you know?
Yeah. All right, buddy. Thank you a lot for the help.
Okay, good luck, man. Let's see. Jake in New York. Hello. Jake, you gonna wake my kids?
Yeah.
Hey, Jake.
How you doing, Jimmy Lake Show? Hey, I got
good,
two quick questions for you.
Sure.
First of all, how's Anthony doing? And does he still have Beavis?
Yeah. Anthony, the last time I saw Anthony, he was doing a last-minute thing for on the pod, Kevin Brennan and Lenny Marcus's podcast. And so Keith and I had talked, and I was like, fuck, man, I'm going to be at the Cellar. I would love to go on. I had to be somewhere after, like an hour later. So I wanted to go on the podcast with Anthony. But they were starting at 8, and Ant wasn't going on until 9. So I'm talking to Lenny, and I'm like, you got Anthony fucking Cumia, and you're making him wait? And then I found out it was a last-minute booking. Like, they'd already had a show booked, and Keith just said, hey, Ant's in town, he'll come on. So Ant was going on later than me, but he still stopped into the Cellar. So I didn't wind up going on, because I only wanted to go on with Anthony. And he wound up stopping in the Cellar, and we talked for a few minutes. And he seemed good. He seemed healthy. As far as I know, he still has Beavis. I hope he still has Beavis. You know how you know he doesn't have Beavis? When you just hear a single gunshot come from that home, where you walk by and you just see a couple of stupid feet dangling from the ceiling. You'll know Anthony doesn't have hit Beavis. I think Beavis is the only thing keeping that bastard fucking sane. But he seemed good. When I saw Ant, he seemed really good.
That's good. Glad to hear it. All right,
he seemed happy. Me too. I was happy to see him. And we had warm hugs. All right, thank you, man. Take care. Jared in PA. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, Jim?
How you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. I got to ask you something. Sure. I've been in recovery for about over a year now. I've been at rehabs. And, man, I keep relapsing every other month. I don't know how you do it.
I part of it is just, do you go to a lot of meetings or do you talk to people who are sober?
No.
Okay. That was how I did it. I did what they suggested for a long, long time. And yeah, as time goes on, dude, years and years, you slack off, you get complacent, you gotta be careful. But I did what was kind of suggested. And, you know, they always told me it's, you know, just the actions, you know, do the actions. You can't think your way into it. You gotta act your way into it, and then you start thinking better after. But, you know, just do the actions. And if you really want it and you want to stay sober, you kind of do what they suggest for you to do. So that's how I do it, maintain daily life. I've taken suggestions. And I'm an arrogant guy, dude. I'm a fucking big mouth, and I'm cocky, and I like to have my own will. And it's really hard to take suggestions. It's humbling to have someone tell you, like, no, this is the way it should be done. But the results have been good, man. Literally, all I ever wanted when I was younger was to be a comedian. And mentally, I was so damaged, and I firmly believe I would have committed suicide in my 20s. And I've gotten everything I wanted within, you know, that was reasonable just by taking suggestions people gave to me and working for it. So if you're not taking the basic suggestions of talking to people and going to meetings, or whatever it is you do, if it's not 12 steps, it's something else. Whatever it is, talk to your fucking therapist. I don't care. Whatever it is that is helping you, do that on a daily basis, and you'll find better results.
All right, man. I'll take your word for it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I promise you it's a better life, okay?
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right, good luck, Jared. Let's see here. Shane in Idaho. Uh-oh, this is scary.
Hey, Jim. I was just calling to let you know I loved your Chip Chipperson show, the animated one.
Oh, did you really?
And shit. Yeah, dude.
Well, thank you. The reviews were mixed, but you know, it's funny, man. The positive reviews, and maybe this is just being a comedian or a person who's a performer, but you always pay closer attention to the negative, and there's a couple of reasons for that. People are more specific in the negative. Like, you know, when people who like it, they'll go, oh, I like it. That's a great job, Jim. It was funny. And I got a lot of that, believe it or not. A lot of people who hated it might not believe it, but I really did get more positive emails from people than negative. But people who didn't like it gave real reasons they didn't like it. Now, some were being cunts, you know, or you should do it with your own. But other people had real valid shit to say. Other people had valid criticism. So I can't ignore that just because it's negative. So you tend to focus more on the negative. Thank you. That was one of my favorite parts too. And in the redo. By the way, you know, it's funny. People still once in a while will go like, "Hey man, like you know, what are you going to do with that money?" It's like, do you understand when people do these Kickstarters and they wind up making a movie? They're asking the fans for money. They make a movie and they make a huge profit on the movie, hopefully. I am only going to get to zero. I'm never going to make money with this money. It was just so I didn't go in the hole with this project. If I put it on YouTube, it's not going to make... How much money do you think I'm going to fucking make on YouTube with this thing? Like, realistically, do people really think I'm going to get rich on fucking YouTube and make over $60,000 worth of money on YouTube? Come on. It's crazy. And if people bought the idea, they'd never buy the ones that had already been shown on YouTube. But thank you anyway, man. I appreciate that. It's nice of you to say.
Are you going to show any more, like, anytime soon? Or?
Yeah, but what happened was I had scripts written. I had 4 or 5 other scripts. And the plan was you do the 2-month campaign. You get the money that you get, whether it's what you asked for, whether it's not. And you make as many as you can with whatever level of animation you can go to. But some of that negative criticism really made sense. And the one that really got to me, or rang true, was people who were like, it just didn't capture Chip the way I wanted it to. This is not what makes me laugh about this guy. And that one I really was like, okay, because I see him differently than people do. So I wound up taking that to heart. And so this thing that I was supposed to be able to do and go in and voice track in 2 or 3 days and then have the episodes animated, now I have to conceptualize the entire thing. And with that came a tour. I moved. And, you know, again, I've been in radio contract negotiations since fucking June. So I don't even want to say what it is I plan on doing with it. But I think people will like this new idea a lot more than they liked the first idea. But I keep hearing things that make me think, well, maybe I should do it this way, and maybe I should do it that way. But the important thing is not even the level of animation, because that can be fixed. But it's when people say it doesn't capture Chip. It doesn't make me laugh because what I like about Chip is the aliveness. So anyway, I hopefully that you'll see the new ones when they're done, and you will think that they are worth it.
I plan on it, and much success to everything you do in the future, man. You're funny and you help people, and I just appreciate everything you do.
All right. Well, thanks, Shane. That's nice of you. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey. Joe in Wisconsin. Hey, Joe. How are you, pal?
Hey, I'm wondering why you guys, as Opie and Jim, don't have Pal Talk. I mean, when I used to listen to Opie and Anthony, you guys would chime in, this guy in Pal Talk says this, and it gave the fans a little bit more interaction with the show, and it seemed like it made the show better.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The problem with Pal Talk, that was more Ant's thing, and we would all jump in on it. I was never in on their contract negotiations, but I believe that it was a contractual thing that Sirius no longer allowed it. XM allowed it, but Sirius didn't because people were getting the feed for free. That's what I'm kind of vaguely remembering about it. I can't swear to that, but I think it was something to do with that.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. All right.
But, okay, buddy. Yeah, I mean, that's the best answer I can give you. Let's see here. Tim in Delaware. Hey, Tim.
Jimmy. Jim.
Sorry, I just took a sip of water. Hi, Tim.
Oh, what's going on? That's all right, man. Hey, I got a serious question. Not like one of these douchey questions about, comedy and stand-up. There's a chick that I used to know in college. Okay. There's a chick that I knew in college. And we hooked up a couple of times. Nothing serious, but a couple years later, she, I saw her, some weed and shit. And one day we got talking about porn addiction. And I discovered that she's into some naughty shit, let's say, that I can't really go into details of what, but we have it similar in common.
Well, why can't you go into detail? Let's just say this. Does her fetishes involve incest or animals?
Yes, that and beyond.
Wow, okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying I might know her. No, I'm kidding. All right, go ahead. What else?
Well, that's why I figured you could relate. So we started getting into talks, and we started talking about the movie Salo, 120 Days of Sodom, and also the Syrian film. I don't know if you ever heard of those movies.
Okay.
Anyway, it's like a snuff type German thing, but it's not. It's like anyway. It kind of turned me on. We both honestly, we both in relationships, but we agreed that the discussion of our opening up about what we were addicted to kind of turned us on. And I got to the point where I got intimidated and kind of scared. Like, I got to stay away from this girl, or else we're going to end up doing some shit that we won't necessarily, I would probably regret.
Man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, buddy, but I understand this. I was in a dirty conversation within the last week with about some real taboo shit that I probably would never do. Stuff I know that I'm not even that turned on by. What's that, buddy?
No, sorry, I'm cutting you off. Sorry. Jesus,
no, that's okay. I understand what you're saying, though. And the key is this. To keep it in fantasy is really helpful. Because what happens is, dude, so many times the reality is not better than the fantasy. A lot of times the reality, A, destroys the fantasy, and B, now you have to go up another level to the next fantasy. Enjoy the fantasy and realize that you don't have to go through with these things. If it's something you think you're going to regret. If it's a threesome, all right, we try it, whatever. If you want a fucking nipple clamps or a strap-on or domination or a golden shower. But if it's something like that's really taboo, obviously if it's somebody underage, don't go near it. If it's with an animal, don't go near it. If it's fucking incestuous, you can't go near it. Like, I get the role play of stuff. That's fine. Role play is healthy and weird. I mean, even if it's rape role play, if you're both down with it, that's fine. But, as far as doing things which are really unhealthy for you, I would suggest not doing it. Because I know a lot of truly damaged people. Like, I'm fucked up, dude. But there's a lot of things I've never done. And I feel really good about myself because there are a lot of lines I have. And you got to have certain lines. Man's got to have a code, if you want to quote Omar. You know what I mean? Like, I won't fuck a girl who's truly drunk. I just won't do it. It's rapey. It doesn't turn me on. Someone not being aware does nothing for me. Like, you got to find these things in yourself where your lines are, and there are things about yourself that you like and you feel good about, and then just enjoy the fantasy of the other stuff.
Right. Have you had a girl ask you to try some stuff to her? Like, she likes the whole, like, while she's sleeping thing?
To fuck her while she's sleeping? I've had girls allude to stuff like that. But if that's what she's genuinely into, that's fine. I mean, if that's her weird fantasy, if it turns her on to be woken up by an intruder with his cock in her, but she feels safe with you, well, then it's all healthy. If you're both okay with it, and, then it's fine to do. I don't know how you'd regret that as long as you've both discussed it and she's cool with it.
I'm referring to you as well. Have you ever had a girl open up to you at a certain level where you felt intimidated, so you had to kind of stay away from her?
Oh, I'm sorry. Have I? Maybe. But, here's what a woman will say that will fuck me up. I like loving, healthy sex. Womp, womp. I'm out. You understand? Because I can be dirty with the best of them, but I can't think of anyone that has necessarily opened up to me that's intimidated me. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but I just can't think of it offhand.
Okay. But anyway, it was nice talking to you. Blah, blah, blah. It's good opening up, all that shit.
Yeah, man. Just, enjoy that you got a dirty girl, but don't necessarily throw her onto the scrap heap. They're hard to find.
Yes, they are. All right, sir. You take care. Have a good one.
All right. Nice talking to you, man. Take care. All right. Corinne in Alaska. Hey.
Hey, Jim.
Did I say your name right? Corinne or Corin?
Corin.
Oh, hi, Corin.
Hi, how you doing? First off, really, of course, big fan, super fan. Watch you first since the Tough Crowd days. And
thank you so much.
Yeah. And I listen to you guys, Opie and Jim, in the mornings here, but we're always 4 hours behind you, so it's always, you guys are way done, but you post them to YouTube. I appreciate that. The question I had was, so I'm part of a little startup stand-up comedy scene that we're starting here in Juneau, since there isn't any really to be had, and we've done a few house shows under this name for our club, and we're about to do our first kind of like public show. I mean, it's always been public, but this is going to be like advertised in a larger venue. It's a little Nickelodeon theater here in Juneau, and there's a lot of desertion amongst the group because of the name, because they're worried about offending people. The name of it is Club Baby Seal. I know it's a little bit almost hacky, I guess.
I wouldn't say it's hacky, but yeah.
Not the strongest, yeah. But anyway, so we have that name, and so we're going out and getting ready to like start putting up posters. We're going to do this next month, late next month. And I don't know. Right now we've got like half of the group, 2 out of 4 of us are saying, no, we should change it. We don't want to offend anybody. Because the concern, which is bothering me, is because there's also concern that, it's a large native population up here. And I think for some reason, some people are thinking that ties in somehow, which I don't see and I don't get.
Wait, is this going to be just a show you're calling it?
Yeah, well, it's Club Baby Seal. It's a comedy show. It's our stand-up comedy show. So the 4 of us kind of founded it together, and 4 friends that are trying our hand and doing stand-up.
That's an interesting question. I don't know how to answer that. It's weird because offensive. It's offensive, but it's not dirty. I like stuff like that. I think it's funny. But are you afraid that it will? Sometimes you have to say, what's the bigger picture? Like, okay, we get a laugh from the name, and it stands out, and people will know it. But will it keep more people away needlessly? Like, will people go, I'm not going to see that? A little controversy never hurt anybody, But will it keep...
Yeah, that's true. Sorry.
That's okay. I say, will it keep people from seeing you if you guys are really funny and that's not what your act is? I don't know how to answer that. It's a great question. Yeah, I guess you guys have to decide what's the greater good. Are we going to fucking get more press by having this name, or are we going to keep more people away by having this name?
Right. Yeah, it's a good point. I think there is a section of this town. It's a very Alaska's a very conservative state, but it's a very liberal town, and so there's a lot of sensitivity. So I definitely think we'd keep a certain group away, but I'm almost kind of like it's probably going to be a good thing to keep that crowd out. But I don't know. But also, like you said, I mean, I don't know. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot before you.
I also think too that being offensive is good when a joke calls for it or whatever. But if you go too far out of your way, if you make too wide a left turn, then people are like, oh God, what the fuck? We see it, we got it. Then you might just be needlessly taking away from people seeing what you guys do, which might be very good.
Right.
So I can't answer that. That's you guys got to decide what do you get more benefit out of, you know?
Right. Yeah, I know it's just hard because it's literally 50-50. It's like, we got the show in a month, you know? But yeah, that's out.
You know, if worse comes to worse, if you call it, say you call it something else, you can do a bit or a sketch on this is what we were going to call it, Club Baby Seal, and see how people react to that.
Yeah. I mean, it does. Anytime I do mention it around town, there is always a laugh. It's like a beat.
Yeah, it's a funny name.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right,
Take
I gotta
care.
run. Take care, pal. Justin in Kentucky, hi. Hello. Hello, Justin.
Hey, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Sorry about that. First, I just want to say that your Terry Schiavo joke from your HBO special from like 10 years back was, even today, is one of my favorite jokes ever.
Well, thank you very much.
But I wanted to see if you had like maybe a favorite story from your Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn days.
Yeah, there's so many amazing moments I had with that show. One of my favorite moments was obviously George Carlin saying my name. When George Carlin at the end of the episode said, "You like the 7 dirty words?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, here's 7 more words you'll never hear on television. Welcome to the Jim Norton Show, everyone." And it killed, and he walked off, and he called me and Colin cocksucking motherfuckers, and me and Colin hugged. That's one of my favorite moments in my career, more than just that, because I was hugging a guy I love in Colin, and we had just, shared this thing with one of our mutual heroes. So I would say that was one of my favorite moments. So many funny moments with Keith and Nick and Patrice and Geraldo. There's too many to name. I mean, I have a great picture of me and Patrice sitting on the couch together fucking laughing. And I think I put it in one of my books, let's say, I wish I could remember what we were laughing at right here. But in hindsight, I look at that as an amazing moment. Or so many times where we would just insult each other. You know what I mean? There's not any, the standout memories are hard, because there's so many of them. Colin shutting me down on my waka 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 joke and then telling the crowd, no, let him just sit in it and letting me just bomb was really fun. There's a lot of memories, dude, to that show. And every time I think of it, I go, oh yeah, that one, or oh yeah, that one was so great. I enjoyed being on the couch with Seinfeld, to be honest. That was a thrill for me. That was, it's funny. That's 13 fucking years ago. And, Jerry and I were on the one episode. It was myself and Seinfeld on the couch. I believe it was Geraldo and Sarah Silverman on the 2 chairs and Colin the host. That was a tremendous moment for me too, because it was one of the 8 original episodes of November 2002, and I was performing with Jerry Seinfeld. It was a big deal. I mean, you guys are an iconic comic, so that felt really good. I'm trying to think of other ones. I'm sure they'll come. People would mention them, like, oh, the fucking immigration game with me, Keith, and Patrice. If we had to take the immigration test and stupid Keith and Patrice couldn't pass it, I think I was the only one that passed the immigration test. That was really fun. There's a lot of them, man. But thank you for the call. It was great, okay? He dropped, so I'm babbling to no one. But thank you for listening. Let's see here. Brett in Oklahoma. We only have a couple of minutes. Hi, Brett.
Hey, Jim. How are you, bud?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm getting back into dating, and basically, I'm just kind of obsessed with wife sharing and girlfriend sharing and all that. And I'm wondering, how do you propose that to somebody? You don't meet them under those pretenses. Like most girls that you'll meet and start to date, they're not necessarily going to be into that idea. But for me, long term, I know that's what I'm going to want. So is there a good way to reach that early, or?
I think you should be open. You got to be open from the very beginning, and they'll never feel like you've snuck it in. Be open from the beginning. That's all it is.
Okay, sounds fair.
Honestly, I wish you don't need a complex answer. Just be truthful from the beginning. I only got 1 minute. I got to cut loose and take David from Atlanta real quick before we go. Hi, David. Just quit drinking. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, I'll get to it. First of all, I got to thank you, though, because in 2014, I changed my diet just because of something you said to E-Rock. He was putting, like, flavored water or something, and you said, stop treating yourself. So I stopped treating myself.
I should say that to myself when I'm on Backpage. But yes, good boy.
But the question, I injured my back last year, and it turned out I got surgery in March, and it was nerve damage, and I don't care for pain pills. So I went to whiskey. Whiskey worked, got me to bed. I could sleep at night. But after the surgery, I started getting better, and I didn't need it. But I still kind of kept drinking the whiskey, and I've always kind of had an on and off button for alcohol. And about 3 weeks ago, it's midnight, and I'm pouring myself a drink. And I'm like, what am I doing? So stop treating yourself. And I haven't had a drink since, but I'm wondering in the same way, like I quit smoking 10 years ago. And now when I see people smoking, it just doesn't connect at all. Like, why do people do that? Right. Does that happen with alcohol? Like, or is it that itch always going to be there?
No. How long's it been?
Just 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, of course it goes away, dude. You know, and then there might be those moments where it sneaks back. But if the obsession lasted, nobody would ever stay sober. You know what I mean? It does go, the more life you give yourself without it, the more experiences you have without it, the more things your memory can go back to without it. You know what I mean? For a long time, it's you're doing one thing, so every reference point you have is that. You know, it's like a relationship when it ends. Every reference point is your ex-husband, your ex-wife, your ex-girlfriend. But then as you start dating more people, you get these different reference points that your mind can go back to and associate with good or bad things. So it won't always be that way. I promise you it will pass.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Real quick, I have to apologize to a comedian. Whoever Jim Brewer's opener is, I got called out at his show for like being the only guy in the room that didn't laugh, and it was literally 4 days after my back surgery. I was like hopped up on pain meds, so whoever Jim Brewer's opener is, I think he's brilliant.
Okay, man, no problem. I'm sure he's okay with it.
All right, cheers.
Thanks, David. Take care. Thank you all. I have to wrap up. I apologize. The lines are full. And Sarah in Massachusetts, how does a female go about getting a dirty massage or happy ending? You just ask me to massage you. All right, guys, I got to run. I appreciate it. We are on tomorrow morning. And I think Opie is taking off next week, and I'm doing a couple of shows with someone who I can't mention. But let's just say he's curly-haired, and he has big, dumb, stupid feet that point outwards, and he talks like that. And he's very close with his mother, and his father eats potatoes and has a handlebar mustache. That sounded like Liberace, not Sam. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to The Jim Norton Show. Hear all that advice whenever you want to on demand at SiriusXM.com/on-demand. On SiriusXM is real.